My name is Tammy. Standing in the opulent ballroom of the Lakeside Manor, surrounded by the stunned silence of over 100 guests, I watched as my world shattered into a million pieces. My 85-year-old grandmother, a pillar of grace in a sapphire blue gown, stood up and declared, "I'm pressing charges against you." The words hung in the air like a death knell, and my parents' faces turned ashen. It all started long before this moment. I grew up in a well-to-do family in a small town. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were respected in the community. My younger sister, Lily, was their golden child. I was 13 when I first noticed the stark difference in treatment. I brought home straight A's on my report card, and my mom barely looked up from her magazine, saying, "Good job, Tammy." We expected nothing less. Meanwhile, when Lily got a B in art, they threw her a small celebration, taking her to her favorite ice cream parlor. As the years passed, this favoritism became more and more obvious. When I was 17, I was accepted into a state university with a partial scholarship. It was enough for tuition, but not for accommodation or books. I was counting on the college fund that my grandparents had set up for me and Lily. My parents had always said, "Your grandparents want to make sure both of you have a good education." But then, just a few months before I was supposed to start college, everything changed. One evening, my parents sat me down at the dining table. My mom looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read and said, "We need to talk about the college fund." My dad continued, "Lily's grades aren't as good as yours. She'll need the full amount to get into a good school." I was shocked. "But it's for both of us," I protested. My mom snapped, "It's family money. We're making the best decision for the family." My dad added, "You're smart, Tammy. You'll figure it out." Those words, so casually thrown, felt like a knife in my heart. Left with no other option, I signed up for the military instead of starting college. While Lily was off enjoying her freshman year at a private university, posting pictures of her dorm room and college parties on social media, I was in basic training, learning to survive in the harshest conditions. I worked night shifts during my military service to pay off the student loans I'd taken, all while my parents boasted about Lily's achievements on their social media accounts, never once mentioning me. 6 years later, I returned home. I'd used my military benefits to finish my bachelor's degree online, but it was nothing like the college experience Lily had. At the first family dinner after my return, my parents were all about Lily's plans to apply for an MBA at top-tier schools. When I mentioned that I was looking into project management jobs, my dad nodded absent-mindedly, and my mom quickly changed the subject, saying, "The military was a phase. Now you should settle down." A few weeks after that, I joined a veteran support group, where I met Ryan. He was 32, had served in the military for 9 years, and understood the struggles I'd faced. One day, he asked me why I'd joined the military. I poured out the whole story to him. After I finished, he asked, "Did your grandmother really agree to give all the money to Lily?" It was a question I'd never thought to ask. I'd just accepted my parents' version of events. Then, one Tuesday morning, a message in the family group chat announced that Lily had been accepted into an Ivy League school's MBA program. My parents were over the moon, promising to cover all the tuition fees. I finally snapped and asked where the money was coming from. My parents dismissed my concerns, saying that my military benefits had covered my education and Lily needed different support. Lily even accused me of ruining her moment. That night, I called my Aunt Rose, my dad's older sister. She'd always been the voice of reason in the family. I asked her for my grandmother's number and details about the college fund. Without hesitation, she texted me both. When I called my grandmother, she sounded almost relieved. "I've been waiting for this conversation for a long time," she said. She then revealed that the trust had been set up with clear instructions, $200,000 for each grandchild for educational purposes, non-negotiable. My parents had forged her signature on an amendment allowing them to distribute the money as they saw fit. The next day, I received an email from my grandfather's attorney, Mr. Harris. It contained the original trust document, the withdrawal history showing that all $400,000 had gone to Lily's accounts, and evidence that my grandmother's signature on the amendment was a forgery. This was fraud, plain and simple. I confronted my parents with the documents. My dad's face paled when he saw them. "It's not that simple," he stammered. My mom tried to defend him, saying, "Lily needed the support." I looked at them, cold and angry. "You stole from me. You could have asked Grandma to change the trust legally, but you chose to commit a crime." They offered to pay me back, but begged me not to make it public for Lily's sake. But I was done being the silent victim. 3 weeks before Lily's MBA graduation party, my parents started texting me, asking me to come and let bygones be bygones. I called my grandmother and she said, "They want to control the narrative. Go, but not to forgive." Ryan was worried, saying, "This is going to be intense." But I was determined. I needed to see this through. The week before the party, my grandmother called again and said Mr. Harris had found more irregularities during his investigation. At the party, the lakeside manor was filled with guests, Lily's classmates, professors, and our extended family. My mom greeted me with a forced smile, asking me to be happy for Lily. As my dad gave a speech about how they'd sacrificed everything for Lily's future, I sat there, seething, watching him turn theft into something noble. Then my grandmother stood up. The room fell silent. She walked slowly to the front, Mr. Harris following with a briefcase. She revealed the truth about the college fund, how it was meant to be shared equally between me and Lily. Gasps filled the room when she said that my father had forged her signature. Mr. Harris presented the evidence, and the room was in an uproar. It turned out that there was another educational trust set up by my grandfather's first wife, with $50,000 for each grandchild, and that money had also gone to Lily. Moreover, some of the trust money had been used for personal expenses like credit card payments and home renovations. Lily's offer from a consulting firm was rescinded due to ethical concerns about her funding sources. My parents were ostracized by the community. My dad broke down in tears, finally realizing the magnitude of his actions. After the party, Mr. Harris laid out the legal situation. I could sue for restitution, and my parents were likely to face probation and a restitution order. I made it clear that I didn't want to punish Lily, who had been unaware of the fraud, but I wanted what was rightfully mine and for my parents to understand the gravity of their actions. My parents pleaded guilty to reduced charges in exchange for full restitution. They had to refinance their house and make monthly payments to me. 6 months later, Lily reached out. She apologized, saying she'd gotten a job at a smaller firm and was in therapy. She even presented me with a payment plan to give me back half of what she'd received from the trust. As the restitution payments came in, I used the money to pay off my student loans, put a down payment on a small apartment, and started a mentorship program for veterans transitioning to civilian life, just like I'd always dreamed. Looking back, I've learned that standing up for myself was the hardest but most necessary thing I've ever done. Family should be a source of support, not betrayal. And I'll never let anyone take advantage of me again.